And howdy, everybody. Welcome to the word number 233, which is just normal counting. We didn't just pull 33 out of the air, okay? That. Howdy, howdy, Glenna. Howdy, Lynn. Howdy, Matt.
Hey.
We changed clothes. That means we are not reading on the same day, unless we're just actors. But we're not. So, today we are reading Jubilees chapters 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25, which will put us halfway through the book of Jubilees, which is awesome. And those readers helping, thank you. You're awesome too. Let's go ahead and pray in. Heavenly Father, thank you very much for bringing us together for this fellowship as your sons and daughters. We're extremely grateful, and we would ask you to pour out your spirit of knowledge and discernment, of understanding, and, just general love on everybody here now and in the future. We want to thank you for the healings you're providing on those who have been ill or wounded, and ask that you continue to heal them and recover them. Let us be a blessing to you as we go throughout our days and weeks, and let us be good ambassadors for you. Thank you, Father. We love you in Jesus Yeshua's name. Amen. All righty, let's do the screen share, shall we? Everybody loves being able to read along. And if you know where I can get a bouncy ball app so you can read along with us, let me know. Oh, I forgot my banner. There we go. Look, Matt's Kilroy. All right. Jubilees chapter 21. And in the 6th year of the 7th week of this Jubilee, Abraham called Isaac his son and commanded him, saying, I am become old and know not the day of my death, and am full of my days. And behold, I am 175 years old, and throughout all the days of my life I have remembered the Lord, and sought with all my heart to do his will, and to walk uprightly in all his ways. My soul has hated idols, and I have despised those that served them, and I have given my heart and spirit that I might observe to do the will of him who created me. For he is the living God, and he is holy and faithful, and he is righteous beyond all. And there is with him no accepting of men's persons, and no accepting of gifts. For God is righteous, and executeth judgment on all those who transgress his commandments and despise his covenant. And do thou, my son, observe his commandments and his ordinances and his judgments, and walk not after the abominations and after the graven images and after the molten images, and to eat no blood at all of animals or cattle, or of any bird which flies in the heaven. And if thou dost slay a victim as an acceptable peace offering, slay ye it, and pour out its blood upon the altar, and all the fat of the offering offer on the altar with fine flour, and the meat offering mingled with the oil with its drink offering, offer them all together on the altar of burnt offering. It is a sweet savor before the Lord. And thou wilt offer the fat of the sacrifice of thank offering on the fire which is upon the altar, and the fat which is on the belly, and all the fat on the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and all the fat that is upon them, and upon the loins and liver thou shalt remove together with the kidneys, and offer all these for a sweet savor acceptable before the Lord, with its meat offering and with its drink offering for a sweet savor, the bread of the offering unto the Lord. And eat its meat on that day and on the 2nd day, and let not the sun go on the 2nd day go down upon it till it is eaten, and let nothing be left over for the 3rd day, for it is not acceptable, for it is not approved, and let it no longer be eaten, and all who eat thereof will bring sin upon themselves. For thus I have found it written in the books of my forefathers, and in the words of Enoch, and in the words of Noah. And on thy oblations thou shalt strew salt, and let not the salt of the covenant be lacking in all thy oblations before the Lord. And as regards the wood of the sacrifices, beware lest thou bring other wood for the altar in addition to these: cypress, bay, almond, fir, pine, cedar, savin, fig, olive, myrrh, laurel, aspalathus. And of these kinds of wood lay upon the altar under the sacrifice, such as have been tested as to their appearance, and do not lay thereon any split or dark wood, but hard and clean, without fault, a sound and new growth. Do not lay thereon old wood, for its fragrance is gone, for there is no longer fragrance in it as before. Besides these kinds of wood, there is none other that thou shalt place on the altar, for the fragrance is dispersed, and the smell of its fragrance goes not up to heaven. Observe this commandment and do it, my son, that thou mayest be upright in all thy deeds. And at all times be clean in thy body, and wash thyself with water before thou approachest to offer on the altar, and wash thy hands and thy feet before thou drawest near to the altar. And when thou art done sacrificing, wash again thy hands and thy feet. And let no blood appear upon you, nor upon your clothes. Be on thy guard, my son, against blood. Be on thy guard exceedingly. Cover it with dust, and do not eat any blood, for it is the soul. Eat no blood whatever. And take no gifts for the blood of man, lest it be shed with impunity, without judgment. For it is the blood that is shed that causes the earth to sin. And the earth cannot be cleansed from the blood of man, save by the blood of him who shed it. And take no present or gift for the blood of man, blood for blood, that thou mayest be accepted before the Lord, the Most High God, for he is the defense of the good, and that thou mayest be preserved from all evil, and that he may save thee from every kind of death. I see, my son, that all the works of the children of men are sin and wickedness, and all their deeds and uncleanness and an abomination and a pollution, and there is no righteousness with them. Beware lest thou shouldst walk in their ways and tread in their paths, and sin a sin unto death before the Most High God. Else he will hide his face from thee, and give thee back into the hands of thy transgression, and root thee out of the land, and thy seed likewise from under heaven. And thy name and thy seed shall perish from the whole earth. Turn away from all their deeds and all their uncleanness, and observe the ordinance of the Most High God, and do his will, and be upright in all things. And he will bless thee in all thy deeds, and will raise up from thee a plant of righteousness through all the earth, throughout all generations of the earth. And my name and thy name shall not be forgotten under heaven forever. Go, my son, in peace. May the Most High God, my God and thy God, strengthen thee to do his will. And may he bless all thy seed and the residue of thy seed for the generations forever, with all righteous blessings, that thou mayest be a blessing on all the earth. And he went out from him rejoicing.
Chapter 22. And it came to pass in the first week, in the 44th Jubilee, in the second year, that is the year in which Abraham died, that Isaac and Ishmael came from the well of the oath to celebrate the Feast of Weeks, that is, the feast of the first fruits of the harvest, to Abraham their father. And Abraham rejoiced because his two sons had come. For Isaac had many possessions in Beersheba, and Isaac was wont to go and see his possessions and to return to his father. And in those days Ishmael came to see his father, and they both came together. And Isaac offered a sacrifice for a burnt offering, and presented it on the altar of his father, which he had made in Hebron. And he offered a thank offering, and made a feast of joy before Ishmael his brother. And Rebekah made new cakes from the new grain, and gave them to Jacob her son, to take them to Abraham his father from the first fruits of the land, that he might eat and bless the Creator of all things before he died. And Isaac too sent by the hand of Jacob to Abraham a best thank offering, that he might eat and drink. And he ate and drank and blessed the Most High God, who hath created heaven and earth, who hath made all the fat things of the earth, and given them to the children of men, that they might eat and drink and bless their Creator. And now I give thanks unto thee, my God, because thou hast caused me to see this day. Behold, I am 163 and 15 years, an old man and full of days, and all my days have been unto me peace. The sword of the adversary hath not overcome me, in all that thou hast given me and my children all the days of my life until this day. My God, may thy mercy and thy peace be upon thy servant and upon the seed of his sons, that they may be to thee a chosen nation and an inheritance from amongst all the nations of the earth, from henceforth unto all the days of the generations of the earth, unto all the ages. And he called Jacob and said, My son Jacob, may the God of all bless thee and strengthen thee to do righteousness, and his will before him, and may he choose thee and thy seed, that ye may become a people for his inheritance, according to his will always. And do thou, my son Jacob, draw near and kiss me. And he drew near and kissed him, and he said, Blessed be my son Jacob, and all the sons of God Most High, unto all the ages. May God give unto thee a seed of righteousness, and some of thy sons may he sanctify in the midst of the whole earth. May nations serve thee, and all the nations bow themselves before thy seed. Be strong in the presence of men, and exercise authority over all the seed of Seth. Then thy ways and the ways of thy sons will be justified, so that they shall become a holy nation. May the Most High God give thee all the blessings, wherewith he hath blessed me, and wherewith he blessed Noah and Adam. May they rest on the sacred head of thy seed from generation to generation forever. And may he cleanse thee from all unrighteousness and impurity, that thou mayest be forgiven all thy transgressions and thy sins of ignorance. And may he strengthen thee and bless thee, and mayest thou inherit the whole earth. And may he renew his covenant with thee, that thou mayest be to him a nation for his inheritance for all the ages, and that he may be to thee and to thy seed a God in truth and righteousness throughout all the days of the earth. And do thou, my son Jacob, remember my words, and observe the commandments of Abraham thy father. Separate thyself from the nations, and eat not with them, and do not according to their works, and become not their associate. For their works are unclean, and all their ways are a pollution and an abomination and uncleanness. They offer their sacrifices to the dead, and they worship evil spirits, and they eat over the graves. And all their works are vanity and nothingness. They have no heart to understand, and their eyes do not see what their works are, and how they err in saying to a piece of wood, Thou art my God, and to a stone, Thou art my Lord, and thou art my deliverer. And they have no heart. And as for thee, my son Jacob, may the Most High God help thee, and the God of heaven bless thee, and remove thee from their uncleanness and from all their error. Be thou ware, my son Jacob, of taking a wife from any seed of the daughters of Canaan, for all his seed is to be rooted out of the earth. For owing to the transgression of Ham, Canaan erred, and all his seed will be destroyed from off the earth, and all the residue thereof, and none springing from him will be saved on the day of judgment. And as for all the worshippers of idols and the profane, there will be no hope for them in the land of the living, and there will be no remembrance of them on the earth, for they will descend into Sheol, and into the place of condemnation will they go, as the children of Sodom were taken away from the earth. So will so will all those who worship idols be taken away. Excuse me. Fear not, my son Jacob, and be not dismayed, O son of Abraham. May the Most High God preserve thee from destruction, and from all the paths of error may he deliver thee. This house have I built for myself, that I might put my name upon it in the earth. It is given to thee and to thy seed forever, and it will be named the house of Abraham. It is given to thee and to thy seed forever, for thou wilt build my house and establish my name before God forever. Thy seed and thy name will stand throughout all generations of the earth. And he ceased commanding him and blessing him. And the two lay together on one bed, and Jacob slept in the bosom of Abraham, his father's father, and he kissed him 7 times, and his affection and his heart rejoiced over him. And he blessed him with all his heart and said, the Most High God, the God of all, and the Creator of all, who brought me forth from Ur of the Chaldees, that he might give me this land to inherit it forever, and that I might establish a holy seed. Blessed be the Most High forever. And he blessed Jacob and said, my son, over whom with all my heart and my affection I rejoice, may thy grace and thy mercy be lift up upon him and upon his seed always. And do not forsake him, nor set him at naught from henceforth unto the days of eternity. And may thine eyes be opened upon him and upon his seed, that thou mayest preserve him and bless him, and mayest sanctify him as a nation for thine inheritance, and bless him with all thy blessings from henceforth unto all the days of eternity. And renew thy covenant and thy grace with him and with his seed, according to all thy good pleasure, unto all the generations of the earth.
Chapter 23. And he placed 2 fingers of Jacob on his eyes, and he blessed the God of gods, and he covered his face, and stretched out his feet, and slept the sleep of eternity, and was gathered to his fathers. And notwithstanding all this, Jacob was lying in his bosom, and knew not that Abraham, his father, was dead. His father's father was dead. And Jacob awoke from his sleep, and behold, Abraham was cold as ice. And he said, Father, Father, but there was none that spake, and he knew that he was dead. And he arose from his bosom and ran and told Rebekah his mother. And Rebekah went to Isaac in the night and told him. And they went together, and Jacob with them, and a lamp was in his hand. And when they had gone in, they found Abraham lying dead. And Isaac fell on the face of his father and wept and kissed him. And the voices were heard in the house of Abraham, and Ishmael his son arose and went to Abraham his father and wept over Abraham his father, he and all the house of Abraham, and they wept a great weeping. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the double cave near Sarah his wife, and they wept for him 40 days, all the men of his house, and Isaac and Ishmael, and all their sons, and all the sons of Keturah in their places, and the days of weeping for Abraham were ended. And he lived 3 jubilees and 4 weeks of years, 175 years, and completed the days of his life, being old and full of days. For the days of his forefathers of their life were 19 jubilees. And after the flood, they began to grow less than 19 jubilees, and to decrease in jubilees, and to grow old quickly, and to be full of their days by reason of manifold tribulation and the wickedness of their ways, with the exception of Abraham. For Abraham was perfect in all his deeds with the Lord, and was well-pleasing in righteousness all the days of his life. And behold, he did not complete 4 jubilees of his life when he had grown old by reason of wickedness, and was full of his days. And all the generations which shall arise from this day until the great day of the great judgment shall grow old quickly before they complete 2 jubilees, and their knowledge shall forsake them by reason of their old age, and all their knowledge shall vanish away. And in those days, if a man live a jubilee and a half of years, they shall say regarding him, he has lived long, and the greater part of his days are pain and sorrow and tribulation, and there is no peace. Excuse me, we have cat fight. Somebody Can somebody take over, please? So sorry.
I got it.
Thank
Yep. Okay. Tribulation, wickedness. Okay, and all the generations which shall arise from this time until the day of the great judgment shall grow old quickly, before they complete 2 jubilees, and their knowledge shall forsake them by reason of their old age. Land, all their knowledge shall vanish away. And in those days, if a man live a jubilee and a half of years, they shall say regarding him, he has lived long, and the greater part of his days are pain and sorrow and tribulation, and there is no peace. For calamity follows on calamity, and wound on wound, and tribulation on tribulation, and evil tidings on evil tidings, and illness on illness, and all evil judgments such as these, with one with another, illness and overthrow, and snow and frost, and ice, and fever, and chills, and torpor, and famine, and death, and sword, and captivity, and all kinds of calamities and pains. And all these shall come on an evil generation, which transgresses on the earth. Their works are uncleanness, and fornication, and pollution, and abominations. Then they shall say, the days of the forefathers were many, even unto 1,000 years, and were good. But behold, the days of our life, if a man has lived many, are 80 years and 10, and if he is strong, 80 years. And those evil, and there is no peace in the days of this evil generation. And in that generation the sons shall convict their fathers and their elders of sin and unrighteousness, and of the words of their mouth, of the great wickedness which they perpetrate, in concerning their forsaking of the covenant which the Lord made between them and him, and that they should observe and do all his commandments and his ordinances and all his laws, without departing either to the right hand or the left. For all have done evil, and every mouth speaks iniquity, and all their works are uncleanness and an abomination, and all their ways are pollution, uncleanness, and destruction. Behold, the earth shall be destroyed on account of all their works, and there shall be no seed of the vine and no oil. For their works are altogether faithless, and they shall all perish together, beasts and cattle and birds, and all the fish of the sea, on account of the children of men. And they shall strive one with another, the young with the old, and the old with the young, and the poor with the rich, and the lowly with the great, and the beggar with the prince, on account of the law and the covenant. For they have forgotten commandment and covenant and feasts and months and Sabbaths and jubilees and all judgments. And they shall stand with bows and swords and war to turn them back into the way. But they shall not return until much blood has been shed on the earth, one by another. And those who have escaped shall not return from their wickedness to the way of righteousness, but they shall all exalt themselves to deceit and wealth, that they may each take all that is his neighbor's, and they shall name the great name, but not in truth, and not in righteousness, and they shall defile the Holy of Holies with their uncleanness and the corruption of their pollution. And a great punishment shall befall the deeds of this generation from the Lord, and he will give them over to the sword, and to judgment, and to captivity, and to be plundered and devoured. And he will wake up against them, the sinners of the Gentiles, who have neither mercy nor compassion, and who shall respect the person of none, neither old nor young, nor anyone, for they are more wicked and strong to do evil than all the children of men. And they shall use violence against Israel and transgression against Jacob. And much blood shall be shed upon the earth, and there shall be none to gather and none to bury. In those days they shall cry aloud and call and pray that they may be saved from the hand of the sinners, the Gentiles, but none shall be saved. And the heads of the children shall be white with gray hair, and a child of 3 weeks shall appear old like a man of 100 years. And their stature shall be destroyed by tribulation and oppression. And in those days children shall begin to study the laws, and to seek the commandments, and to return to the paths of righteousness. And the days shall begin to grow many and increase amongst the children of men, till their days draw nigh to 1,000 years, and to a greater number of years than before was the number of the days. And there shall be no old man for one who is not satisfied with his days, for all shall be as children and youths. And all their days they shall complete and live in peace and in joy. And there shall be no Satan nor any evil destroyer, for all their days shall be days of blessing and healing. And at that time the Lord will heal his servants, and they shall rise up and see great peace, and drive out their adversaries. And the righteous shall see and be thankful, and rejoice with joy forever and ever, and shall see all their judgments and all their curses on their enemies. And their bones shall rest in the earth, and their spirits shall have much joy. And they shall know that it is the Lord who executes judgment, and shows mercy to hundreds and thousands, and to all that love him. And do thou, Moses, write down these words, for thus are they written, and they record them on the heavenly tablets for a testimony for the generations forever.
And it came to pass, after the death of Abraham, that Yahuwah blessed Jacob his son, and arose from Chevron, and went and dwelt at the well of the vision of the first year in the 3rd week of this Jubilee, 7 years. And in the 1st year of the 4th week a famine began in the land, besides the first famine which had been in the days of Abraham. And Jacob sawed lentil pottage, and Esau came from the field hungry. And he said to Jacob his brother, Give me this red pottage. And Jacob said to him, Sell me your primogeniture, this birthright, and I will give you bread and also some of the lentil pottage. And Esau said in his heart, I shall die. Of what profit to me is this birthright? And he said to Jacob, I give it to you. And Jacob said, Swear to me this day. And he swore unto him. And Jacob gave his brother Esau bread and pottage, and he ate it and was satisfied. And Esau despised his birthright. For this reason was Esau's name called Edom, on account of the red pottage which Jacob gave him for his birthright. And Jacob became the elder, and Esau was brought down from his dignity. And the famine was over the land, and Jacob departed to go down into Mitzrayim in the 2nd year of this week, and went to the king of the Pelastrim of Geir unto Abimelech. And Yahuwah appeared unto him and said unto him, Go not down into Mitzrayim, dwell in the land that I shall tell you of, and sojourn in this land, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and to your seed will I give you this land, and I will establish my oath, which I swore unto Abraham your father. And I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and I will give unto your seed all this land. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because your father obeyed my voice, and kept my charge and my commandments, my Torah, my ordinances, and my covenant. And now obey my voice and dwell in this land. And he dwelt in Geir 3 weeks of years. And Abimelech charged concerning him, and concerning all that was his, saying, Any man that shall touch him, or anything that is his, shall surely die. And Jacob waxed strong among the Pelastrim, and he got many possessions, oxen and sheep and camels and asses, and a great household. And he sowed in the land of Pelastrim, and bought 100-fold, and Jacob became exceedingly great, and the Pelastrim envied him. Now all the wells which the servants of Abraham had dug during the life of Abraham, the Pelastrim had stopped them after the death of Abraham, and filled them with earth. And Abimelech said unto Jacob, Go from us, for you are much mightier than we. And Jacob departed thence in the 1st year of the 7th week, and sojourned in the valley of Geir. And they dug again the wells of water, which the servants of Abraham his father had dug, in which the Pelastrim had closed after the death of Abraham his father. And he called the names of Abraham his father, had named them. And the servants of Jacob dug a well in the valley, and found living water. And the shepherds of Geir strove with the shepherds of Jacob, saying, The water is ours. And Jacob called the name of the well Perversity, because they had been perverse with us. And they dug a second well, and they strove for that also. And he called its name Enmity. And he arose from thence, and they dug another well. And for that they strove not. And he called the name of it Room. And Jacob said, Now Yahuwah has made room for us, and we have increased in the land. And he went up from thence in the well of the oath in the first year of the first week, in the 44th Jubilee. And Yahuwah appeared unto him at that night on a new moon of the first month, and said unto him, I am the Elohim of Abraham your father. Fear not, for I am with you, and shall bless you, and shall surely multiply your seed as the sand of the earth, for the sake of Abraham my servant. And he built an altar there, and Abraham his father had first built. And he called upon the name of Yahuwah, and offered a sacrifice unto Elohim of Abraham his father. And they dug a well, and they found living water. And the servants of Jacob dug another well, and did not find water. And they went and told Jacob that they had not found water. And Jacob said, I have sworn this day to the Pelusim that this thing has been announced to us. And he called the name of the place of that well of the oath, for there had been sworn to Abimelech and Ashkenazoth, his friend, and Pekal, the perfect, or his host. And Jacob knew that day, that under constraint that he had sworn to them to make peace with them. And Jacob on that day cursed the Pelusim, and said, Cursed be the Pelusim, and unto the day of wrath and indignation from the midst of all the nations. May Elohim make them a derision and a curse, and an object of wrath and indignation in the hands of the sinners, and other people in the hands of the Kittim. And whosoever escapes the sword of the enemy of the Kittim may be a righteous nation, root out of judgment from under heaven. For they shall be the enemies and foes of my children throughout their generations upon the earth. And no remnant shall be left for them, nor one that shall be saved on the day of the wrath of judgment. For destruction and rooting out of it and expulsion from the earth is the whole seed of the Pelusim reserved. And there shall be no longer be left for these Caphlatim a name or a seed on the earth. For though he ascend unto heaven, thence shall he be brought down. And though he make himself strong on the earth, thence shall he be dragged forth. And through he hide himself among the nations, even from thence shall he be rooted out. And though he descended into Sheol, there also shall his condemnation be great, and there he shall have no peace. And if he go into captivity by the hands of those who seek his life, they shall slay on him the way, and neither name nor seed shall be left to him on all the earth. For into eternal malediction shall he depart. And thus it is written and engraved concerning him on the heavenly tablets, to do unto him on the day of judgment, so that he may be rooted out of the earth.
Okay, try it again. Chapter 25. And in the second year of this week in the Jubilee, Rebekah called Jacob her son, and spake unto him, saying, My son, do not take thee a wife of the daughters of Canaan, as Esau thy brother, who took him 2 wives of the daughter of Canaan. And they have embittered my soul with all their unclean deeds. For all their deeds are fornication and lust, and there is no righteousness with them, for their deeds are evil. And I, my son, love thee exceedingly, and my heart and my affection bless thee every hour of the day and watch of the night. And now, my son, hearken to my voice, and do the will of thy mother, and do not take thee a wife of the daughters of this land, but only of the house of my father and of my father's kindred. Thou shalt take thee a wife of the house of my father, and the Most High God will bless thee, and thy children shall be a righteous generation and a holy seed. And then spake Jacob to Rebekah, his mother, and said unto her, Behold, mother, I am 9 weeks of years old, and I neither know nor have I touched any woman, nor have I betrothed myself to any, nor even think of taking me a wife of the daughters of Canaan. For I remember, mother, the words of Abraham our father, for he commanded me not to take a wife of the daughters of Canaan, but to take me a wife from the seed of my father's house, and from my kindred. I have heard before that daughters have been born to Laban thy brother, and I have set my heart on them to take a wife from amongst them. And for this reason, I have guarded myself in my spirit against sinning or being corrupted in all my ways throughout all the days of my life. For with regard to lust and fornication, Abraham my father gave me many commands. And despite all that he has commanded me, these 22 years, my brother has striven with me and spoken frequently to me and said, my brother, take to a wife a sister of my 2 wives. But I refuse to do as he has done. I swear before thee, mother, that all the days of my life I will not take me a wife from the daughters of the seed of Canaan, and I will not act wickedly as my brother has done. Fear not, mother, be assured that I shall do thy will and walk in uprightness and not corrupt my ways forever. And thereupon she lifted up her face to heaven and extended the fingers of her hands and opened her mouth and blessed the Most High God, who had created heaven and earth, and she gave him thanks and praise. And she said, blessed be the Lord God of, and may his holy name be blessed forever and ever, who has given me Jacob as a pure son and a holy seed. For he is thine, and thine shall his seed be continually and throughout all the generations forevermore. Bless him, O Lord, and place in my mouth the blessings of righteousness, that I may bless him. And at that hour, when the spirit of righteousness descended into her mouth, she placed both her hands on the head of Jacob and said, blessed art thou, Lord of righteousness and God of the ages, and may he bless thee beyond all the generations of men. May he give thee, my son, the path of righteousness, and reveal righteousness to thy seed, and may he make thy sons many during thy life, and may they arise according to the number of the months of the year, and may their sons become many and great beyond the stars of heaven, and their numbers be more than the sand of the sea. And may he give them goodly land, as he said he would give it to Abraham and to his seed after him always. And may they hold it for possession forever. And may I see born unto thee, my son, blessed children during my life, and a blessed and holy seed may all thy seed be. And as thou hast refreshed my mother's spirit during her life, the womb of her that bare thee blesses thee thus. My affection and my breast bless thee, and my mouth and my tongue praise thee greatly. Increase and spread over the earth, and may thy seed be perfect in the joy of heaven and earth forever. And may thy seed rejoice, and on the great day of peace may it have peace. And may thy name and thy seed endure to all the ages. And may the Most High God be their God, and may the God of righteousness dwell with them. And by them may his sanctuary be built unto all the ages. Blessed be he that blesses thee, and all flesh that curses thee falsely may it be cursed. And she kissed him and said to him, may the Lord of the world love thee, and as the heart of thy mother and her affection rejoice in thee and bless thee. And she ceased from blessing.
All right, let's go back to 21, shall we? No, you weren't choppy. So back to 21. Okay, what do we have here? We've got anything? Come on, spit it out. Talking about the sacrifices to make and telling this to Jacob, right? No, he's talking to Isaac.
Isaac.
Yep. He's telling him how to do the sacrifices and how to stay away from the world.
Mm-hmm.
Keep away from it. It'll pollute you.
And it also,
observe his commandments and his ordinances.
And his laws.
yes.
It pretty much covers anyone wanting to argue, well, there's a difference. It has to follow them.
Well,
okay.
So he's talking a lot about the blood being the life in the blood and don't eat the blood and everything. And then when it comes to the wood, we have these certain woods, and it's green wood because the life in the plants is in the sap. So you would, of course, there's a lot of smoke because the life essence is still in that green wood. I find that very interesting.
And him stating that's what makes the sweet savor.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool.
Yes.
Also, Salt. Salt. What is modern day doctors telling people to avoid?
And then you go to the hospital because you're sick and they give you IV fluids. And then when you leave, you feel a lot better. Because, yep.
Lactated ringers. But it's
Eat your
interesting
salt.
because the blood, talking about the blood, I was just thinking about how, a lot of people have made this parallel of the modern medical system being very Egyptian, right? But look at their fascination with blood. How do they determine if you're healthy? They draw blood. How do they heal you? They inject stuff into your blood. Well, you know what? That's not working. Let's inject them with fluids from blood from animals and dead things. And I just find that fascinating. And then they tell people you're going to die if we don't filter your blood. So they make them go through dialysis. And then they tell people, well, you're going to need a transfusion. You're going to need someone else's blood. Well, if the spirit is in the blood, what are they doing?
They're making a bunch of blood type.
Exactly. And not only that, but don't forget to leave out bloodletting that was popular.
It's still popular.
Put some leeches on there.
The what?
The leeches.
Yeah. Like that comedian says, oh, let's go to him. He's the smartest guy in the village. Well, we better let some blood out of your body. I think you're too full. Yeah. Okay. So that is that. And let's go to 22. Okay, 22. I don't have anything until way down to 24, and it's a bit of a rabbit trail. So what do you got before that?
22.
In chapter 22.
Verse 22.
Oh, okay.
And then A, B, C, D, this is what's going to happen. All of a sudden, the A, B, C, D comes in. It's like, what?
He's all counting it off on his, he's all A, that. He's all A, there shall be no hope for them in the land of the living. B, oh, actually, it starts with B. And then it goes C, C, D.
It does.
Who transcribed this?
It does. And they just keep transcribing it wrong and copying it wrong.
So, do you know how in the law, the books of the law, in the Torah, when it says you're going to be living in your tents, you're going to go into the land, wipe those people out, and take their houses. You're going to live in their houses will be yours, and then it gives the prescription for if the house has leprosy in it, which I'm convinced is mold or mildew or some other slimy grossness.
Something growing in your house, grass or something.
So in 24, he says, this house have I built for myself, that I might put my name upon it in the earth. It is given to thee and thy seed forever, and it will be named the house of Abraham. I was just thinking, in the previous study or two, we were talking about the genealogies descended from Noah, scattered into these certain areas. And now we have in the Middle East what I would call charlatans or posers setting up what they're calling Abrahamia. And they're going to put 3 gathering places on the Temple Mount, one for Muslims, one for Christians, and one for Jews. And they're also doing one in one of the Arab republics. Where is it? Over in the UAE or Dubai or something. So I just thought this verse is kind of interesting because when he comes back and wipes everyone out, he could say, okay, here's the houses that they built, and you'll take them over. And if there's any leprosy in them, we'll just take care of that and cleanse it. We'll have the priest come in, the high priest come in and wipe it out. It's just speculation, but I thought that was interesting. Getting nods of approval from back east. And Matt disappeared.
Keep it. Oh,
I know. So anything else on this? On 22?
gonna have to chew on what you said.
Don't choke.
Oh,
You
chew.
can spit the gristle out. The okay. Oh, pop goes the Matt.
Well, there's Matt. So I just, because I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just made me cry when he laid down there and his dad and his gramps and he dies. And,
Yeah, it's,
so it's touching. It's awesome. It's just touched my heart really a lot, and I had a hard time getting it. Like, had tears. I couldn't read. It was like,
when I was young, second grade, first and second grade, we used to leave our doors unlocked still. And a friend of mine in the fourth grade, who lived a couple of streets over, his mom was murdered. We started locking our doors after that. But whoever the first people on scene were, they were asking her grandchildren, because she had like children ranging across a 20-year range, so she had plenty of grandchildren too. And they said, where's grandma? Oh, she's in there taking a nap. Nope, she was passed on already. So anyways, that just reminded me of this, or this reminded me of that.
well, that's how we should all go.
Well, hers wasn't sleeping though. Just
No,
the
not
kid.
her. I mean here in chapter 22.
Well, it would be a blessing, but I
Yeah.
think people that die differently, maybe there's an act of mercy in that being part of their punishment or something. And come Judgment Day, Yeshua can say, "You did this, and the penalty for that was death, and you got dead, all right. So now, will you accept me or will you not?" I don't know. That's just my supposition. And if they say no, anyways, let's go to 23. Back to 23. Going back to the future here in 23.
The cat's out there. Cat fight.
Again?
I apologize for that cat fight.
Oh. So this is the early part of this seems to be describing today, the times we're living in.
Mhm.
And, calamity on calamity, wound on wound, tribulation on tribulation, evil tidings on evil tidings. How often do we hear people utter, "Why can't I get a break? Why is all this happening to me?" Well, we're in that age. And so for some of us, it'll refine us, and others of us, it'll destroy us. In my opinion, input.
I would have to agree after the last 19 months in my life when I thought it was all crashing to an end, and even just now, but then Abba steps in and his timing's perfect. So I don't have to complain or whine about why is this happening. I just go with it and just keep leaning into him more, because that's the only way I'm going to survive. I don't have another choice. It's either that or just go off the edge. I'm not going off the edge.
Well, it is, but it is. We have that choice. Are we going to manage what he gives us through him, right? And it's only through him that we manage it.
It's
And
only through we have it.
if we take a little bit and take it back to him
Mhm.
for management, then he'll slowly give us more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Look at Joseph.
Yes.
Joseph started out with his father's flocks, Jacob's flocks, and then got to managing the household of a pretty high up Egyptian dude, and then from that went to managing all of Egypt. Nod in agreement if you agree. Okay. I'm teasing you, Glenn. Okay. What else for 23? Anything else jumping out at you?
Oh, go ahead, Glenna.
Okay. Okay. You know how sometimes I like to focus in on numbers or whatever that pops out. Oh, I think it's interesting about the days of the forefathers. Their lives were, in around 19 jubilees or in excess. And that number 19, that's the Metonic cycle. 19.
Metonic being
That every 19 years that the moon and the phase of the moon and the position of the moon, it lines up with the sun and the stars. And it's just kind of an interesting phenomenon that they've discovered.
and then it resets.
Yes.
Welcome back, man in the box. This is rural living at its best. Today I'm getting a signal, sort of. That. Okay. Anything else for 23? I thought 29 was interesting. And all their days they shall complete and live in peace and enjoy, and there shall be no Satan, nor any evil destroyer, which to me confirms what we were discussing on one of the recent studies, that there's more than just one enemy out there. Spiritual enemy. They want to do you harm.
Can I go backwards a little bit?
It won't stop us anymore.
Okay. When it's talking about how long of living, where it's saying like the 70 to 80 year a generation, isn't that repeated somewhere in Psalms?
I think so. And it's interesting too, though, because here we're at that right now. I mean, oh, wow, man, that guy was 70 years old. But this person lived to 80. They were really old. I look at it, at my life in context now of the 120 years that Noah was told about. Your lives will be as 120 years. It's like, well, I'm not even halfway there yet. Can almost see the light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, anyways. Yeah, you were going to say something?
I said, no, what light?
There's always light at the end of the tunnel. Unless you're going deeper into the ground. But like, I used to look at that 120 years that was stated in Genesis is, yeah, people are going to live 120 years until you look at it a little closer, and it's I will only strive or something 120 years. And that was giving Noah 120 years to preach repentance to the
Before
people.
the flood.
Yes. And then of course, that whole thing of like, does that mean 120 jubilees, for that 6,000 year period? But anyway, that's
Could be interesting fact to chew on. Okay, let's go to 24. Wait. What?
yeah. Okay. When it was started talking about, there was something in 18. Okay.
Verse 18.
Verse 18.
Mhm.
And it's something about there will be no seed of the vine and no oil. What about that thing in the prophecies about how, but do not hurt the wine or the oil? Okay, there is something there. And then those feasts were hidden, except they were revealed in some of the Dead Sea Scrolls. There's something there about that. There's something to that.
In
There
Revelation,
are the minor festivals of wood and the one of wine. So
it's
like the
in
festival of wood goes for a whole week.
Revelation 6, 5, and 6. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see, thou hurt not the oil and the wine." So that here is inflation, because a penny used to be a day's wages. So a day's wages for a loaf of bread and a measure of barley, but don't touch the oil or the wine. Muy interesante. Okay, let's go to 24.
Wait, Revelation what?
Chapter 6, verses 6, 5, and 6.
6, 5, and 6. Okay.
Yep. So, yes.
Okay. And in verse 26, prophecy. And in those days, the children will begin to study the laws and to seek his commandments and return to the path of righteousness. We are there, brothers and sisters. We are seeking that out.
Yep, we certainly are. And I cannot believe how furious people get when you try to tell them we don't earn righteousness and salvation by following the law. That's the free gift. But you're told to repent and not sin anymore, sin being transgression of the law, as defined in 1 John.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of anger that people have where they're just like, I don't have to follow the law.
Don't put it back under the law.
Those teachers that got, it's interesting because you can see the people, the pastors that preach that, they just preach that. You don't have to follow any law. It was all nailed to the cross. Right? But then the followers are angry about it, infuriated about it. And it reminds me of what Jesus, Yeshua, said in his rebuke to the teachers then. He said, you make your followers twofold, what is it, the twofold debtors of hell than yourselves, something like that. Because they're just preaching. They're just answering, yeah, go ahead, do it.
And this is where that really, when I started realizing that hit hard because Bob and I, we used to strongly fund the building up of missionary schools and in other countries. And it's like we're making worse. We've made worse. I mean, that hit me personally very hard.
Well, there's hope because Paul says he was chief of the sinners. So if he can go around gathering up people that directly followed Jesus, Yeshua, and brought them to executioners, anyone can repent. Anybody. So long as they want, so long as they realize everything they've been doing is wrong. And that's the hard one when you think you're on the team of God and righteousness. And then realizing, oh man, I remember reading this thing once that said, nothing's worse than that point in an argument when you realize you're wrong. Right? I mean, boy. And the thing is, in our youth, we'll still argue just to win, right? At some point, we get to a point where we're willing to stand about this tall and say, I'm wrong.
Better to get it over with right away.
Yep. And, well, that's the way it is. So, okay, let's go to 24. And 24. Now, am I the only one who, in the translation I was reading, everywhere where Matt read Jacob, it said Isaac? Okay.
What?
You were breaking up cat fights or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, everywhere through the whole chapter where it says Isaac was interacting with the Philistines, he was reading Jacob. So I don't know what he was reading from, but he's not here anymore. So, okay. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't just me. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay. Like in verse 3, okay, when it's talking about the birthright, I strongly suspect that may be in reference to the skin or the rod. Do you remember?
The coat.
Yes, the coat that was made for Adam that Nimrod got passed down to Nimrod, and then Esau got it back when he slayed him. And then I put in a question mark of what about that rod, okay, that ended up going back into the possession of Moses down the line. So I because when they're talking about birthright, what is that? What is that? It doesn't specifically say.
No, not here. It doesn't. But doesn't it say somewhere in the books of Moses that to the firstborn son will go the majority of the inheritance, and then like fully 50%, something like that. But then the rest split up what they call their portion of it. But then Esau's shirking all this. He's like, what does it matter? And where is that? Is that in, I think it's in Jasher. Talked about in Jasher that he kills Nimrod. And somewhere else too. but I forget where. And he's like, well, what do I have to live for anyways? They're going to kill me for killing the mighty hunter.
Oh, it wasn't about him starving to death. It was about, oh,
It was about he had
okay.
little time to live.
I thought that it was something completely, that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, and he was like, you might as well, I'm gonna die anyway. So because they're out to get me, you know. So here, give me some pottage.
Take my inheritance now, and then yeah.
Whereas he should have put his faith in Yah, in Yahuwah, in God, and said, he will deliver me. But he didn't. He feared. And when we fear, we come up with really bad solutions. Like giving up your entire inheritance. Or birthright. Birthright. The inheritance came later, or the blessing came later.
Mhm.
Okay, so this with the wells, I found interesting.
Here we go with the wells again, I told myself.
Yep. But then when they digged a new well, it says they found living water, like an underground river. So it was moving.
Not still water, living water. Yeah, moving with oxygen.
Yep. Very interesting.
So shake up that bottle of water before you drink it and put some oxygen in there.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Welcome to Rabbit Trail Central. I noticed a really long time ago when I was young that drinking carbonated drinks seems to rob your body of oxygen. Right?
Well, it does. And if you don't burp it all out or get rid of that extra carbonation, it puts it into your bones.
Yeah.
It'll store it in your bones. So that's not good.
Yeah, and when I was young, I used to get irritated. I used to irritate my family because I didn't like the carbonation. So,
Let it go flat.
well, I know I'd actively shake it up and then bleed it off. And look, now I have sugar water. Yum. Yeah, not that was good for me, but
Bob does that. He does not like carbonation whatsoever.
way to go, Bob.
Way to go, Bob.
Well, when I was pregnant with my middle one, I couldn't get enough seltzer water, and I never drank it before or since.
Really?
So I don't know what's up with that.
I don't know. But I find the women talking about their cravings with child interesting.
It's always something.
Yep. So anyways, what else do we have in 24 here after the wells?
So they dug 4 wells and then they found living water twice. Am I understanding that right?
I think so. Let's see. What verse was that again?
Well, 24. We had one
24.
at 8:19. Okay, we had
Right.
one at 6. Yeah, 19, and then and they dug every second, third, and then they dug another one, which had the living water. The well of the oath.
Where he made his oath.
Okay.
All right. Anything else out of 24? Okay, let's go to 25. 25. And this is I didn't have anything jump out at me, but this is basically Rebecca making Jacob swear not to marry a woman of Canaan because they are vile and disgusting and fornicating-ish. And
Your dad said. Yeah,
Yep.
she's reinforcing her husband's words and what he taught him. So I don't care how old they are, you're still teaching your kids, whether they realize it or not.
right.
I love how she blesses him.
Yep. Yep. After blessing God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some awesomeness.
So it's okay for the woman to give the blessing if, say, like the husband's not there or the husband doesn't.
Well, I think that goes to the vow, right? The law of the vow. If a woman agrees to something, if she's young, her father, and if she's married, her husband, when he finds out about it, has the right to negate that vow, to say, no, no, no. But if he lets it stand until sundown after he finds out, then it stands. It's a firm vow. So
So that would be the same for the blessings.
that's what I'm thinking.
That makes sense. So since go ahead.
And also, Abraham had specifically spoken with his daughter-in-law about Jacob was the one that was to be blessed over Esau because of what he had observed in both of their character, their behavior. So she was honoring what Abraham had told her.
Yep. I'll let
Yeah.
that stand.
Well, you don't stop honoring, say, your parents or your husband or wife after they're gone. You can continue to honor them.
Right. Mom or dad. Mom and
Mhm.
dad. Yep. And it's not easy for those who had an abuse-laden childhood.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we didn't have parenting classes. They didn't. Well, actually, yeah, we did. But you know what I mean. Nobody tells you how to raise a child.
It's true.
They were winging it, just like we did, and their parents did, and their grandparents.
That's why it's important to have your grandparents in your life. They can sure help out with some of that.
You know, it is. It's interesting you say that too, because I've been looking at family roles, the way other cultures embrace them. You know, so it's almost like you get the loving caringness from the grandparents, but the parents have to be strict and bring you up according to the rules. You're going to obey, right? Then for your mother and father, you have your aunts and uncles who grew up with them, who are like, yeah, you know what? I grew up with that person. I can tell you a few things about Pop. And that, oh yeah, you know what your mom did? And then it's like, okay, well maybe dad and mom are kind of human.
Mhm.
I was a teenager when I found out my dad had rolled one of my grandparents' vehicles
Oh,
because my cousin said, "Is that the one Uncle Buddy rolled?" I was like, so then when I got home, I told my mom. I said, "You know what I found out?" She was like, "What?" I said, Dad crashed one of Granny and Papa's cars. She said, huh, he crashed every car they ever had until we got married. Oh, really? And I'm irresponsible for getting B's? Okay.
They just want us to have it better than they did.
Yeah, they just want us to be better, to succeed more, to grow what they gave us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I was an adult when I found out my mother lived in San Francisco in a flop house.
Oh, dear. Oh,
She
dear.
traveled all the West in her little car all by herself for her job. But I found pictures of them all at the beach and the cigarettes, and I'm like, Mom, no, Mom.
That's my twin. No. Okay. Anything else for 25? Okay. Thank you for reading, Glenna. Thank you for reading, Lynn. Thank you for reading, Matt, wherever you may be wandering amongst the desert and tall grass. Okay. Anyways, everybody, we will be back on Sabbath to continue in Jubilees, chapters 26 through 30. And you know what? Talk to your Heavenly Father. Right? He sacrificed a lot for you to be able to talk to him. Make it worth your while. Okay, that's it, everybody. Like, share, subscribe. I love you all. Bing-a-ling-a-ling. Ring the bell thing.